This is hands down one of my very favorite modules to teach, subjects to breach, and thing to reinforce in leaders like you. If servitude is not your key, I guarantee you will have a difficult time going from rags to riches. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there with extreme wealth, but philanthropy is key. And I don't want to make it just about giving money, because that's where most people make a mistake. I want to make it so that it's easy for you to see that it's about the giving of yourself that creates multi-generational wealth. Most often, we live in a culture, in a society where it's very, what about me? What do I get out of this? I feel like this. I think this. And I want this, and it's very me focused. And if you're me focused, there's only so much you're going to be able to draw out of your business or your set of goals. But when it's we focused, it's infinite, because that means you can serve people over here, people in this city, people in this country, people that look like this, people that don't have this, people that have that. So your ability to create a business, entrepreneurship program, policies to serve people is infinite. And remember, when you have a heart for servitude, there's somebody new born every day. So you can continue your business and your legacy of service for, forever. It can go beyond you. So servitude for me, serving others is ultra key. Now, I will let you in on a little secret. I have multiple companies now, but I've been building companies since I was 11 years old. And the first 5 that I built by the time I was 22, 23, they didn't do well, but I did them. And I wondered, what is the difference between now and then? The company, or one of the major companies that I have now, is foundation, what's at its core is service to others through arts, media, and entrepreneurship. So what I learned from here is I built this company because I wanted to make money, 5 of them. They didn't last, they didn't work, they were effective when they were functioning, but they didn't give me the international impact that I was looking for. Then I shifted gears and built something because I knew there was a need in the community. So for example, I relocated to the capital of California in 2000, and I noticed, it's a very conservative city, and there were a lot of people from the Bay Area that were navigating here because the quality of life was different. You could afford to, buy a home, where in the Bay Area things were significantly more expensive. And a 2-parent working household would still, have difficulty making a way. We'd make just enough to pay a rent, but definitely not enough to pay a mortgage. And so we relocated to, an area of California where we could afford to buy a home. And I'm speaking of me and my husband at the time. And we had 2 kids, and so we wanted them in extracurricular activities. But we being here, we were able to get the house, but we weren't able to see or find some of the more multicultural experiences that we were used to in the Bay Area. And so I found that there were a lot of Bay Area people relocating to the capital because of, you could afford to live here better than we could in the Bay Area, but there were programs to support our kids of color. And so I just started doing hip hop. I would volunteer and teach it anywhere I could: dance studios, churches, community centers, parks. And then, before you knew it, I had about 70 kids, dancing with me outside at a park. And I'm there, volunteering to serve them, keeping them off the streets, getting them engaged in something positive that changed my life. That was obviously changing theirs, building champions through it. They would tour and do competitions and things like that. And it did wonders for their self-esteem. But I realized us doing this outside in the park in the summer was not healthy for them, wasn't healthy for me, and it just wasn't good business. And so that was how I founded, and why I founded Studio T, which is, my organization that uses the arts to serve young people. was because I wanted to give them a safe atmosphere where they could create and grow. And my servitude to the young people in communities, particularly those that are under-resourced, that have an added layer of challenge, that need access to opportunity, but they don't they don't have all the steps to get there. That's why I founded what I do in those communities, because I want to serve them and make sure they have the best possible outcomes in their life. But once I founded my company, or at least, just placed at the core servitude to others, it made everything more explosive, and it created an opportunity for me to not only give back to the young people in my my community, but it also created an opportunity for me to see how valuable I was to these young people. So when you're building whatever it is that you're building, make sure serving is at the core. And then you also want to consider things like when we would go into their community, we weren't just teaching a dance class. We would have to go in sometimes and clean the communities. You get garbage on the ground, empty liquor bottles, and that atmosphere doesn't emulate success and let's grow and you can do anything. That emulates something completely different. So your servitude can take other forms. It could not just be in you showing up and providing your specific service, but it could be some of the wraparound services. So it could be you gifting somebody a meal. It could be doing a community cleanup, especially if your business is going to be located in it. It could be you meeting with your civic leaders, your mayors, your school board, your assembly, your senates, and letting them know, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I'm looking to serve the community, and I'm seeing these problems, but here are some solutions. That is service. And what I teach anybody that works for me is, no, we are not just dance teacher, we are public servants. We are here to serve people. And once we made that the core of who we are, that's what qualified us to do the work that we're doing, not just locally, but nationally. And so the money part became the easy part. The service part was the harder challenge, because again, some of the tasks that we tasked ourselves really were not easy things to do. We're dealing with kids that are trauma informed, and that means sometimes they're really angry and they're really mad at life, and they deal with things like homicide and suicide, and they never know who's going to show up the next day for class, who's going to get kidnapped, trafficked, raped, who's going to be shot at because they're a bystander at the only park they have because these two gangs are beefing or whatever. So again, we had to deal with, young people that are not always the easiest to deal with. But again, it was what made us experts in our craft. So fast forward to, let's say, 2020, when the whole world went into survival mode and every kid was trauma informed. Well, because we had been serving young people that were traumatized already, it made us experts, which meant all of these school districts and companies and cities and counties now needed a solution. So when I say the money part's the easy part, we still are in so much demand, and we're getting contracts that are so massive for our service that the money part just keeps flowing. It's the service part that we're building aggressively and quickly because the demand for it is so great because of an international pandemic. So I'm sharing all of this with you because I think it's important for people to, as you're building and growing and creating a business of success that's going to take you from rags to riches, or a lifestyle of success that's going to take you from rags to riches, service is key. It's being a servant is key. And I know that, you go through things, and, I've been through some pretty, challenging waters, and, you can feel helpless in that stuff. But I find that when I'm serving and giving, it's a lot less easy to feel helpless when you're being helpful. So when I keep my heart focused on giving and serving and being invested in my young people and my community and the young adults that I'm grooming up to be the next level of leadership in my empire, it's a lot less easy for me to feel helpless because I'm so focused on being helpful. And here's a key thing that I want you to take away with you. Guard your heart. You're going to have situations and circumstances that could hurt you. And the higher you go, you may become a target for people to dislike you, especially if you have a solution to a real problem, or you become wildly successful. You're going to have circumstances where people challenge you. Guard your heart, because then you don't want things like the inability to forgive, bitterness, anger, hatred, revenge. You don't want those things to populate your heart, because if they can plant themselves in your heart, two things happen. Number one, it makes it a lot more challenging for you to be a public servant. You can become angry, and your anger will come out instead of your love coming out, which is what's required to serve. And the second thing is, it could cause you to become bitter. And I'll tell you one thing, bitterness blocks your blessings. So anything that has bitter, think of it like cancer. You don't function well, and it shuts everything down, and it's designed to kill you. Bitterness is designed to kill you, and it's also designed to kill your dreams. So you want to make sure that you are guarding your heart. That's going to require you to make sure that you're letting some stuff roll off. You're not taking some certain things in. And you're really, really serving and giving as much as you can. That's what creates a healthy heart, a heart full of love, and a heart of compassion, which really, again, it keeps the flow channels open and thriving and dense and heavy and rich, and you'll have more than enough that you need monetarily to keep doing what you're doing as a business. So this entire lesson, I'm hoping, is causing you to think and receive and see the importance of giving and serving and being a servant to others, not just people you know, but the people you don't know, and don't complicate it. Sometimes serving is as simple as a smile and a good morning and hey, have a good day, smash that, baby, you got this. Most often people just need that. Have you ever gone through a grocery line and looked at the checkout person, or stood in line at the bank and look at the face of the people around you? Sometimes they just need somebody to turn around and say, hey, how you doing? Well, we in line together. It's a good day. What's good about your day? You do something like that, it causes people to focus on what's good, on what's right, on what's just, and what's pure, and what's lovely, and what's exciting, not what's on the negative. The fact that we all in this long freaking line trying to do some bank stuff, and then you're looking at your numbers and I don't have enough, etc., etc., etc. I've even done things by way of service. You see that person in the line in front of you, and I guess it depends on where you shop, but sometimes I shop in, my communities and stuff like that. And you see that person in line, they got their WIC or their EBT card, or, they don't have enough for what's on the thing. And, step up, serve them, step up. You got the resources, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take care of this. And buy their groceries, pay for the gas. Serve people, not welfare, but serve people. And sometimes doing that gives somebody else enough hope to not just make it, but to thrive and start going after their dreams. You are so much more powerful than you know. And serving others is a magnificent gift that will lend you or gift you a return and results in your life that you can't even measure and monitor. So I'm asking you to consider one thing. Become a public servant. And I guarantee you, all the money stuff, that'll be so easy.